Shalom. My name is Adam, and I welcome you to the parable of the Vineyard. Every day, Yahweh is waking up a remnant, a group of people who are coming out of deceptions, realizing our walk is to consist of faith and obedience to his righteous commands. Each week, we read through and examine a portion of the Torah, allowing the Spirit of the Most High to guide, teach, and open our eyes and ears to the wondrous matters out of his law. Join us as we seek to be refined by his word, preparing ourselves for the return of our King of Kings, being faithful and obedient, walking in his way, truth, and life. Shabbat Shalom, and welcome back, brothers and sisters. Welcome to the Parable of the Vineyard YouTube live stream of our Torah portion reading. My name is Adam, your host, and I welcome you. Week 11, Vayigash, which is Genesis 44:17 through 47:27. And this is our second to last portion in Genesis. We're almost already done with Genesis. What's going on here? Time is flying, especially when you're having fun going through Abba's Torah. Let's start with prayer and thanksgiving to our Heavenly Father. Father Yahweh, we come before you and bless you in Yahushua's name, your Son, our King, our Master, Father, that you sent for us, that we may believe on him and his offering and be reconciled back to you. And Father, we just thank you for opening our eyes that we are to follow his commands. We're supposed to walk as he walked, according to your Torah, Father. And we're just so thankful for opening our eyes in this dark hour. Thank you for giving us light and truth in these last days, your life. We love you and bless you, and may your Ruach HaKodesh be with us as we get into your word, and may you open our eyes and ears that we may hear and see and understand and follow and obey. We love you, and Shabbat Shalom to you. Amen and hallelujah. What a gift it is, brothers and sisters. Just in case you're new, what we do with these Torah portions, we like to read through line by line. We like to examine some of the other scriptures that are less known, that were removed for a time, but the Most High, I believe, restored in these last days. Books like Jasher, Jubilees, the Aramaic Targums, which is the Aramaic version of the Torah, and many other supporting scriptures to really just get the whole story of what's going on here, because I think a lot of us are at a point where we just want to know everything, especially about Abba's truth. And this is the treasure chest. And I haven't spoken very often about conspiracies anymore, because I'm just going to be honest with you, I'm just not that interested. I was led to the truth, the Torah, Messiah, everything through conspiracies. That was the avenue that he took me down, or I went down, however that works out. He led me down to get to him. But it's like, now that we're here, it's like I'm just not interested in all these other topics that often. Not that they're not important. That's not what I'm saying, because there's still a lot of people that need to be woken up, and they may come to Abba through conspiracies and other things still. But really, it's like, when Messiah says, "Blessed are those who hunger and thirst after righteousness, they shall be filled." I've seen people that have come to this truth, and they're like, bam, but they don't hunger and thirst for it, and they don't get filled by it. And so therefore they keep searching elsewhere, and they end up just kind of walking away. They get filled elsewhere. And what people end up finding is it's not a satisfying filling. It doesn't last. And they're right back where they were in the world, where they tried to fill their hunger and thirst through material things and whatever else. Anyways, let me get off my soapbox here. Anyways, we're here to study the Torah together, and to learn together and to grow together. And, I conduct these like if we were just hanging out in my living room and talking about it. So let's get started. You know what? Shofar blast, I think, is in order here. Let's do a live one. How about that with the old ram's horn? Okay, let's get going. As always, we have a lot to cover here today. Is my mic a little too loud? Maybe it looks like it's spiking loud. Okay, that's fine. All right, let's get into it. So again, Genesis 44:18 through 47:24. And as you remember from last week, if you joined us last week, the brothers were sent back to tell their father, or to go back to give the grain back to their father. And Joseph puts the silver cup in Benjamin's sack, and Joseph sends some people like, "Hey, why have you repaid me evil for good?" And they're like, "Hey, come on back to Egypt. Let's go." And so here they are in front of Joseph, and Judah's like, let's do it. Genesis 44:18. Then Yehudah came near unto him. This is Vayigash came near unto him and said, "O my master, let your servant, I pray you, speak a word in my master's ears, and let not your anger burn against your servant, for you are even as Pharaoh." Got to put my blue light blocking glasses on. "My master asked his servant, saying, Have you a father or a brother? And we said unto my master, We have a father, an old man, and a child of his old age, a little one, and his brother is dead, and he alone is left of his mother, and his father loves him. And you said unto your servants, Bring him down unto me, that I may set my eyes upon him. And we said unto my master, The lad cannot leave his father, for if he should leave his father would die. And you said unto your servants, Except your youngest brother come down with you, ye shall see my face no more. And it came to pass, when we came up unto your servant my father, we told him the words of my master. And our father said, Go again, and buy us a little food. And we said, We cannot go down. If our youngest brother be with us, then we will go down, for we may not see the man's face, except our youngest brother be with us. And your servant my father said unto us, Ye know that my woman bore me 2 sons, and the one went out from me. And I said, Surely he is torn in pieces, and I saw him not since. And if you take this also from me, and mischief befall him, ye shall bring down my gray hairs with sorrow to Sheol." So remember, Rachel was Jacob's beloved wife, and he only had 2 sons by her, and one is apparently dead in his eyes, Joseph, and the only one left of his beloved wife is Benjamin. So he's like clinging on to Benjamin, like, no. "Now therefore, when I come to your servant my father, and the lad be not with us, seeing that his life is bound up in the lad's life, it shall come to pass, when he sees that the lad is not with us, that he will die. And your servants shall bring down the gray hairs of your servant our father with sorrow to Sheol. For your servant became surety for the lad unto my father, saying, If I bring him not unto you, then I shall bear the blame to my father forever. Now therefore, I pray you, let your servant abide instead of the lad a bondman to my master, and let the lad go up with his brethren. For how shall I go up to my father, and the lad be not with me? Lest perchance I see the evil that shall come on my father." And we're just going to read verse 1 of chapter 45. "Then Joseph could not refrain himself before all them that stood by him, and he cried, Cause every man to go out from me. And there stood no man with him, while Joseph made himself known unto his brethren." So, like we've said before, and like we've experienced in the past, the Torah gives us, a quick version of everything. But there's other books out there like Jasher and Jubilees that give us really the whole story of everything that went down. And so there's a lot of holes to be filled here, and I would love to share them with you. So we're going to read Jasher 53, 31 through 73. So a little bit of reading here. So Jasher 53, 31 through 54, 73. Actually, so we got a lot of reading to do. "And Judah said, What shall we say to our master? What shall we speak, and how shall we justify ourselves?" Right? "Elohim has this day found the iniquity of all your servants. Therefore has he done this thing unto us this day. And Joseph rose up and caught hold of Benjamin and took him from his brethren with violence. And he came to the house and locked the door at them. And Joseph commanded him that was set over his house that he should say unto them, Thus says the king, Go in peace to your father. Behold, I have taken the man in whose hand was my cup found." Now, this is where the story gets really interesting. I think I just realized I had a dream last night that kind of related to this. I'll share it with you as we get through it. Okay. Interesting. Book of Yashar, chapter 54. We're going to read till verse 73. And when Judah saw the dealings of Joseph with them, Judah approached him and broke open the door and came with his brethren before Joseph. And Judah said unto Joseph, Let it not seem grievous in the sight of my master. May thy servant, I pray, speak a word with you. And Joseph said unto him, Speak. And Judah spoke before Joseph, and his brethren were there standing before him. And Yehudah said unto Joseph, Surely, when we first came to our master to buy food, you did consider us as spies of the land, and we brought Benjamin before you, and you did make sport of us this day, and you still make sport of us this day. Like, he's like, you're toying with us. I know it. You're toying with us. You're messing with us. Now therefore let the king hear my words, and send, I pray you, our brother, that he may go along with us to our father, lest your soul perish this day with all the souls of the inhabitants of Egypt. Do you not know what two of my brethren, Simeon and Levi, did unto the city of Shechem, and unto the 7 cities of the Amorites on account of our sister Dinah, and also what they would do for the sake of their brother Benjamin? Right? He's like, you know what our brothers did in Shechem. 2 of them killed an entire city. And I, with my strength, who am greater and mightier than both of them, come this day upon you and your land, if you are unwilling to send our brother. Have you not heard what our Elohim, who made choice of us, did unto Pharaoh on account of Sarah our mother, whom he took away from our father, that he smote him and his household with heavy plagues, that even unto this day the Egyptians related this wonder to each other? So will our Elohim do unto you on account of Benjamin, whom you have this day taken from his father, and on account of the evils which you this day heap over us in your land. For our Elohim will remember his covenant with our father Abraham, and bring evil upon you, because you have grieved the soul of our father this day. Now therefore hear my words that I have this day spoken unto you, and send our brother that he may go away, lest you and the people of your land die by the sword, for you cannot all prevail over me. And Joseph answered Yehudah, saying, Why have you opened wide your mouth, and why do you boast over us, saying, Strength is with you? As Pharaoh lives, if I command all my valiant men to fight with you, surely you and these your brethren would sink into the mire. So now we got this little battle, this little back and forth going on here. This battle of the mouths. And Yehudah said unto Joseph, Surely it becomes you and your people to fear me. As Yahweh lives, if I once draw my sword, I shall not sheathe it again until I shall this day have slain all Egypt, and I will commence with you and finish with Pharaoh your master. And Joseph answered and said unto him, Surely strength belongs not to you alone. I am stronger and mightier than you. Surely if you draw your sword, I will put it to your neck and the necks of all your brethren. And Yehudah said unto him, Surely if this day I open my mouth against you, I would swallow you up, that you be destroyed from off the earth, and perish this day from your kingdom. And Joseph said, Surely if you open your mouth, I have the power and might to close your mouth with a stone, until you shall not be able to utter a word. See how many stones are before us. Truly I can take a stone and force it into your mouth and break your jaws. And Yehudah said, Elohim is witness between us, that we have not hitherto desired to battle with you. Right, so now Judah's trying to calm it down. Only give us our brother, and we will go from you. And Joseph answered and said, As Pharaoh lives, if all the kings of Canaan came together with you, you should not take him from my hand. Now therefore go your way to your father, and your brother shall be unto me for a slave, for he has robbed the king's house. And Yehudah said, What is it to you or to the character of the king? Surely the king sends forth from his house throughout the land silver and gold, either in gifts or expenses. And you still talk about this cup which you did place in our brother's bag, and say that he has stolen it from you? So he knew. Yeah, Yehudah knew that Benjamin didn't steal it. Elohim forbid that our brother Benjamin or any of the seed of Abraham should do this thing to steal from you, or from anyone else, whether a king, prince, or any man. Now therefore cease this accusation, lest the whole earth hear your words, saying, For a little silver the king of Egypt wrangled with the men, and he accused them and took their brethren for a slave. And Joseph answered and said, Take unto you this cup, and go from me, and leave your brother for a slave, for it is the judgment of a thief to be a slave. And Yehudah said, Why are you not ashamed of your words, to leave our brother, and to take your cup? Surely if you would give us thy cup, or 1,000 times as much, we will not leave our brother for the silver which is found in my hand, or any man, that we will not die over him. And Joseph answered, And why did you forsake your brother, and sell him for 20 pieces of silver unto this day? And why then will you not do the same to this your brother? So yeah, now Joseph's like, Hey, you sold your brother Joseph, right? And you sold him for 20 pieces. Why won't you sell Benjamin for this cup? And Yehudah said, Yahweh is witness between me and you that we desire not thy battles. Now therefore give us our brother, and we will go from you without quarreling. And Joseph answered and said, If all the kings of the land should assemble, they will not be able to take your brother from my hand. And Yehudah said, What shall we say unto our father, when he sees that our brother comes not with us, and will grieve over him? And Joseph answered and said, This is the thing which ye shall tell unto your father, saying, The rope has gone after the bucket. Ooh. And Yehudah said, Surely you are a king, and why speak you these things, giving a false judgment? Woe unto the king who is like unto you. And Joseph answered and said, There is no false judgment in the word that I spoke on account of your brother Joseph. For all of you sold him to the Midianites for 20 pieces of silver, and you all denied it to your father, and said unto him, An evil beast has devoured him, and Joseph has been torn to pieces. And Yehudah said, Behold, the fire of Shem burns in my heart. Now I will burn all your land with fire. And Joseph answered and said, Surely thy sister-in-law Tamar, who killed your sons, extinguished the fire of Shechem. Oof. So this is like a back and forth, right? And Joseph is just like he's got legitimate, complaints. He brought up selling Joseph, and he brought up, Yehudah being with Tamar. And Judah said, If I pluck out a single hair from my flesh, I will fill all Egypt with its blood. And Joseph answered and said, Such is your custom to do as you did to your brother whom you sold, and you dipped his coat in blood and brought it to your father, in order that he might say, An evil beast has devoured him, and here is his blood. And when Judah heard this thing, he was exceedingly wroth, and his anger burned within him. And there was before him in that place a stone, the weight of which was about 400 shekels. And Judah's anger was kindled, and he took the stone in one hand and cast it to the heavens, and caught it with his left hand. And he placed it afterwards under his legs, and he sat upon it with all his strength, and the stone was turned into dust from the force of Judah. And Joseph saw the act of Judah, and he was very much afraid, but he commanded Manasseh his son, and he also did with another stone like unto the act of Judah. And Judah said unto his brethren, Let not any of you say this man is an Egyptian, but by his doing this thing he is of our father's family. And Joseph said, Not to you only is strength given, for we are also powerful men, and why will you boast over us all? And Judah said unto Joseph, Send, I pray you, our brother, and ruin not your country this day. And Joseph answered and said unto them, Go and tell your father, An evil beast has devoured him, as you said concerning your brother Joseph. And Judah spoke to his brother Naphtali, and he said unto him, Make haste, go now, and number all the streets of Egypt, and come and tell me. And Simeon said unto him, Let not this thing be a trouble unto you. Now I will go to the mount, and I will take up a large stone from the mount, and level it at every one in Egypt, and kill all that are in it. And Joseph heard all the words that his brethren spoke before him, and they did not know that Joseph understood them, for they imagined that he knew not to speak Hebrew. And Joseph was greatly afraid at the words of his brethren, lest they should destroy Egypt. And he commanded his son Manasseh, saying, Go now, make haste, and gather unto me all the inhabitants of Egypt, and all the valiant men together, and let them come to me now upon horseback, and on foot, and with all sorts of musical instruments. And this is fun, interesting, right? That musical instruments are part of warfare, even today, good or bad. And Manasseh went and did so. And Naphtali went as Judah had commanded him, for Naphtali was light-footed as one of the swift stags, and he would go upon the ears of the corn, and they would not break under him. This is amazing stuff, and I believe it, right? These are some of the stories where people are like, this is just comic book stuff, and, well, okay, what about Abraham and his 318 men defeating, 8 entire armies? It was, 900,000 people in one night? Come on. And Levi and Simeon killing an entire city, it was just them two. And he went and numbered all the streets of Egypt and found them to be 12. And he came hastily and told Judah, and Judah said unto his brethren, Hasten you, and put every man his sword upon his loins, and we will come over Egypt and smite them all, and let not a remnant remain. And Judah said, Behold, I will destroy 3 of the streets with my strength, and ye shall each destroy 1 street. And when Judah was speaking this thing, behold, the inhabitants of Egypt and all the mighty men came toward them with all sorts of musical instruments and with loud shouting. And their number was 500 cavalry and 10,000 infantry and 400 men who can fight without sword or spear, only with the hands and their strength. And all the mighty men came with great storming and shouting, and they all surrounded the sons of Jacob and terrified them, and the ground quaked at the sound of their shouting. And when the sons of Jacob saw these troops, they were greatly afraid of their lives. And Joseph did so in order to terrify the sons of Jacob to become tranquilized. And Yehudah, seeing some of his brethren terrified, said unto them, Why are you afraid whilst the grace of Elohim is with us? right? The same statement for today. And when Yehuda saw all the people of Egypt surround them at the command of Joseph to terrify them, only Joseph commanded them, saying, "Do not touch any of them." Then Yehuda hastened and drew his sword and uttered a loud and bitter scream. And he smote with his sword, and he sprang upon the ground, and he continued to shout against all the people. And when he did this thing, Yahweh caused the terror of Judah and his brethren to fall upon the valiant men, and all the people surrounded them. And they all fled the shouting, and they were terrified and fell one upon another, and many of them died as they fell, and they all fled from before Judah and his brethren, from before Joseph. And whilst they were fleeing, Judah and his brethren pursued them unto the house of Pharaoh, and they all escaped. And Judah sat before Joseph and roared at him like a lion, and gave a great and tremendous shriek at him. And the shriek was heard at a distance, and all the inhabitants of Sukkot heard it, and all Egypt quaked at the sound of the shriek. And also the walls of Egypt and the land of Goshen fell in it from the shaking of the earth. And Pharaoh also fell from his throne upon the ground. And also all the pregnant women of Egypt in Goshen miscarried when they heard the noise of the shaking, and they were terribly afraid. So we have this Judah, right, roaring at a lion, and this tremendous shriek. This actually reminds me of my dream last night. We'll read this first and I'll tell you. Isaiah 5:26-30, and he will lift up an ensign, a sign to the nations from afar, and will hiss unto them at the end of the earth, and behold, they shall come with speed swiftly. None shall be weary, nor stumble among them. None shall slumber, nor sleep, neither shall the girdle of their loins be loosed, nor the latchet of their shoes be broken, whose arrows are sharp, and all their bows bent. Their horses' hoofs shall be counted like flint, and their wheels like a whirlwind. Their roaring shall be like a lion. They shall roar like young lions. Yea, they shall roar and lay hold of their prey, and shall carry it away safe, and none shall deliver it. And in that day they shall roar against them like the roaring of the sea. And if one look unto the land, behold, darkness and sorrow, and the light is darkened, and the heavens thereof. So this is talking about Yahweh's army when they roar like lions. Joel 2:1-13, blow ye the trumpet in Zion, and sound an alarm in my holy mountain. Let all the inhabitants of the land tremble, for the day of Yahweh comes, for it is nigh at hand, a day of darkness and gloominess, a day of clouds and of thick darkness, as the morning spread upon the mountains. A great people and strong, there has not been ever the like, neither shall be any more after it, even to the years of many generations. A fire devours before them, and behind them a flame burns. The land is as the Garden of Eden before them, and behind them a desolate wilderness. Yea, nothing shall escape them. The appearance of them is the appearance of horses, and as a horseman so shall they run. Like the noise of chariots on the tops of mountains shall they leap, like the noise of a flame of fire that devours the stubble, as a strong people set in battle array. Before their face the people shall be much pained. All faces shall gather blackness. They shall run like mighty men. They shall climb the wall like men of war, and they shall march every one on his ways, and they shall not break their ranks. And if I don't know if any of you got a chance to read some of the wars of the book of Yashar, where the sons of Jacob, they were like this right here. They would climb walls. One would be versus hundreds, just impossible odds, and nothing could stop them. Nothing, like literally nothing could stop them. And that was my dream last night. I was just thinking about that. Is that I was like a warrior, and like nothing could stop me, and was just anything that came in my way was just destroyed. And I'll get to why I'm getting to this. Neither shall one thrust another, they shall walk every one in his path, and when they fall upon the sword, they shall not be wounded. They shall run to and fro in the city, they shall run upon the wall, they shall climb upon the houses, they shall enter in the windows like a thief. The earth shall quake before them, right? Kind of like we just saw with Yashar. Right? He roared at him like a lion and gave a great and tremendous shriek. And so the land of Goshen fell from the shaking of the earth. The earth shall quake before them, the heavens shall tremble, the sun and the moon shall be dark, and the stars shall withdraw their shining. And Yahweh shall utter his voice before his army, for his camp is very great, for he is strong that executes his word. For the day of Yahweh is great and very terrible, who can abide it? So on the day of Yah, he's going to have his army doing battle. Therefore also now says Yahweh, turn ye, so because of this, therefore turn ye even to me with all your heart, and fasting, with weeping, with mourning, and rend your heart and not your garments, right? Like tear your heart up for the things you've done and your garments, and turn unto Yahweh your Elohim, for he is gracious and merciful, slow to anger, and of great kindness, and repents him of the evil. Micah 5:7-9. And the remnant, this is the last days, the remnant of Jacob shall be in the midst of many people as a dew from Yahweh, as the showers upon the grass that tarries not for man, nor waits for the sons of men. And the remnant of Jacob shall be among the Gentiles, the nations, in the midst of many people, as a lion among the beasts in the forest, as a young lion among the flocks of sheep, who, if he goes through, both treads down and tears in pieces, and none can deliver. If you have a pen, a sheep pen, like 50 sheep, and you put a lion in there, if all 50 sheep came against that lion, could they do anything to him? No. If you put 10,000 sheep against that lion, could they do anything to him? No. And that is what Yahweh's army, his military, his army is. That's what it's going to be like in the last days. It's going to be like the sons of Jacob. They'll be unstoppable. Nothing will be able to stop them. That's why it's 144,000 versus 2, 3, 4, 5 billion, whatever it's going to be. 1 billion against 144,000. The odds are ridiculous. But not if they're like this. Not if they're like lions among the sheep. Not if they're like the sons of Jacob amongst any of their adversaries. Thy hand shall be lifted upon your adversaries, and all your enemies shall be cut off. So what's going to happen? In the last days, Yahweh is going to raise up an army, a remnant. But here's the thing. People are being tested. We're all being tested. I'm not saying that I'm in or you're in or anybody. I want to be in. I'm going to be straight up with you. I want to be in. I want to be in this army. I do with all my heart. Therefore, turn you to me with all your heart and with fasting. And if you want to be part of this, humble yourselves, therefore, under the mighty hand of Elohim, that he may exalt you in due time. Because to be like this is to be in an exalted state. And in order to be that, we got to be humble. And in order to continue to learn, Psalm 25:9, he leads the humble in what is right. He teaches the humble his way. We have to stay humble as we continue to learn. And this is back to Jasher 53, verse 48. And Pharaoh sent word saying, what is this thing that has this day happened in the land of Egypt? And they came and told him all the things from beginning to end. And Pharaoh was alarmed, and he wondered and was greatly afraid. And his fright increased when he heard all these things. And he sent unto Joseph, saying, you have brought unto me the Hebrews to destroy all Egypt. What will you do with that thievish slave? And send him away, and let him go with his brethren, and let us not perish through their evil, even we, you, and all Egypt. And if you desire not to do this thing, cast off from you all my valuable things, and go with them to their land, if you delightest in it. For they will this day destroy my whole country, and slay all my people. Even all the women of Egypt have miscarried through their screams. See what they have done merely by their shouting and speaking. Moreover, if they fight with the sword, they will destroy the land. Now therefore choose that which you desire, whether me or the Hebrews, and whether Egypt or the land of the Hebrews. And they came and told Joseph all the words of Pharaoh that he had said concerning him. And Joseph was greatly afraid at the words of Pharaoh. And Judah and his brethren were still standing before Joseph, indignant and enraged. And all the sons of Jacob roared at Joseph like the roaring of the sea in its waves. Imagine what it's going to be like in the last days. If we want to take part of it, we have to humble ourselves and walk in righteousness. I'm talking to me, I'm talking to you, I'm talking to all of us. And Joseph was greatly afraid of his brethren on account of Pharaoh. And Joseph sought a pretext to make himself known unto his brethren, lest they should destroy all Egypt. And Joseph commanded his son Manasseh, and Manasseh went and approached Judah, and placed his hand upon his shoulder, and the anger of Judah was stilled. And Judah said unto his brethren, let not one of you say that this is the act of an Egyptian youth, for this is the work of my father's house. And Joseph, seeing and knowing that Judah's anger was stilled, he approached to speak unto Judah in the language of mildness. And Joseph said unto Judah, surely you speak truth, and have this day verified your assertions concerning your strength. And may your Elohim who delights in you increase your welfare. But tell me truly, why from amongst all your brethren do you wrangle with me on account of the lad, as none of them have spoken one word to me concerning him? And Judah answered Joseph, saying, surely you must know that I was security for the lad to his father, saying, if I brought him not unto him, I should bear his blame forever. Therefore have I approached you from amongst all of thy brethren. For I saw that you were unwilling to suffer him to go from you. Now therefore may I find grace in your sight, that you shall send him to go with us. And behold, I will remain as a substitute for him. So now Judah's like, I will replace myself for Benjamin, to serve you in whatever you do. For wheresoever you shall send me, I will go to serve you with great energy. Send me now to a mighty king who has rebelled against you, and you shall know what I will do unto him and to his land. Although he may have a cavalry and infantry, or an exceeding mighty people, I will slay them all and bring the king's head before you. Do you not know, or have you not heard, that our father Abraham with his servant Eliezer smote all the kings of Elam with their hosts in one night, and they left not one remaining? And ever since that day our father's strength was given unto us for an inheritance, and for us and our seed forever. So that's interesting, right? So that strength is given to his seed. And who is the seed of Abraham, right? And let's look at Revelation 3. So Galatians 3:20-29, there's neither Jew nor Greek, there's neither bond nor free, there's neither male nor female, for you're all one in Messiah Yahusha, and if you be Messiahs, then you're Abraham's seed and heirs according to the promise. So whether we're blood descendants or not, this promise was given to his seed forever. Now, what's interesting in the book of Revelation for the church of Philadelphia, Revelation chapter 3, verse 7, to the angel of the church of Philadelphia write, these things says he that is holy, he that is true, he that has the key of David, he that opens and no man shuts, and shuts and no man opens. I know your works. Behold, I have set before you an open door, and no man can shut it. For you have had a little strength. So we've kind of lost this over the years, right? But you've kept my word and has not denied my name. Right? So in the last days, I believe those that are of little strength, but have kept his word and have done what we're supposed to do, he will turn that around and will be given that strength instantly in these last days on the day of Yahweh, when the righteous are to be, when you have the resurrection and the righteous are to be exalted. So let's keep doing what we're supposed to be doing with all of our heart, with all of our soul, with all of our might, and do what's right in the sight of Yah, and humble ourselves, not to be lifted up, right? So, like that dream I had, it's not lifting myself up, it's to remind me what is in the future if we stay meek and humble right now. Because now is not the time to be exalted. Now is the time to stay humble and meek in humility. And Yosef, so back to Joshua 53, verse 61, and Yosef answered and said, you speak truth, and falsehood is not in your mouth. For it was also told unto us that the Hebrews have power, and that their Elohim delights much in them. And who then can stand before them? However, on this condition will I send your brother. If you will bring before me his brother, the son of his mother, of whom you said that he has gone from you down to Egypt. And it shall come to pass, when you bring unto me his brother, I will take him in his stead, because not one of you was security for him to your father. And when he shall come unto me, I will then send with you his brother for whom you have been security. So he's basically like, just find me Yosef, bring me Yosef, and I'll exchange Yosef for Benjamin, and you can have Benjamin. And Judah's anger was kindled against Yosef when he spoke this thing, and his eyes dropped with blood, with anger. And he said to his brethren, how does this man this day seek his own destruction and that of all Egypt? And Simeon answered Yosef, saying, did we not tell you that first, that we knew not the particular spot which he went, and whether he be dead or alive? And wherefore speaks my master like unto us these things? And Yosef, observing the countenance of Judah, discerning that his anger began to kindle when he spoke unto him, saying, bring unto me your brother instead of his brother. And Yosef said to his brother, surely you said that your brother was either dead or lost. Now, if I should call him this day, and he should come before you, would you give him unto me instead of his brother? And Yosef began to speak and call out, Yosef, Yosef, come this day before me, and appear to your brethren, and sit before them. And when Yosef spoke this thing before them, they all looked each way to see whence Yosef would come before them. And Yosef observed all their acts, and said unto them, why do you look here and there? I am Yosef, whom you sold to Egypt. Now therefore, let it not grieve you that you sold me, for as a support during the famine did Elohim send me before you. And his brethren were terrified at him when they heard the words of Yosef, and Judah was exceedingly terrified at him. And when Benjamin heard the words of Yosef, he was before them in anger. And when Benjamin heard the words of Yosef, he was before them in the inner part of the house. And Benjamin ran unto Yosef his brother, and embraced him, and fell upon his neck, and they wept. And when Joseph's brethren saw that Benjamin had fallen upon his brother's neck and wept with him, they also fell upon Joseph and embraced him, and they wept a great weeping with Joseph. And the voice was heard in the house of Joseph that they were Joseph's brethren, and it pleased Pharaoh exceedingly, for he was afraid of them, lest they should destroy Egypt. Wow, so there's the full story of what happened. And what's interesting, in the Targums, the Aramaic, we actually have confirmation. So Genesis 44:18, And Yehuda came near unto him and said, in beseeching you, my master, let your servant now speak a word in the hearing of my master. Let your anger not be strong against your servant. For at the first time we came unto you into Mitzrayim, and did you not tell us, I fear before Yahweh? And now your judgments return like the judgments of Pharaoh your master, by whom you adjure. Yet I am honorable as you are, and my father is honorable as Pharaoh your master is. By him do you adjure. Can I not swear by the life of the head of my father and not lie? For if I draw my sword from within its sheath, I would not return it till I had filled all the land of Mitzrayim with the slain. To its sheath I would not return it, till I had made all the Mitzrayim desolate of inhabitants, beginning with yourself and ending with Pharaoh your master, were it not against the will of my father. Or has it not been heard by you, or not told to you, what my two brothers Simeon and Levi did, who we up against the town, it's a little error there, who we up against the town of Shechem, while they were dwelling in security, and killed every male by the edge of the sword, because they had corrupted Dinah our sister, who has not been numbered in the tribes, nor has portion of inheritance with us by the dividing of the land, and in force is more unyielding than theirs. I have become the sponsor for the youth at the hand of my father, saying, if I bring him not to you and send him before you, I will be guilty with you and be removed from your salutation all the days. Have you not heard, or has it not been told you, that in the land of Canaan we are kings and princes as you are? So kind of a small little confirmation of a similar story, right? And when Yosef, the beloved and honorable, saw that the strength of Yehuda his brother had risen up, that the thoughts of his heart came forth, and that they rent their garments, in that hour beckoned Yosef to Manasseh his firstborn, and stamped with his shoe. All of Yosef's place trembled. In that hour Yehuda said, if it had not been on the side of the house of my father, it would have not been so. Then began Yehuda to be milder in his words, and he said, my master asked his servant, saying, have you a father or brother? So some very similar parts of the story here in the Aramaic Targums confirming the book of Yashar. All right, so back to Genesis 45, verse 2. So Yosef revealed himself, and he wept aloud, and the Mitzrayim in the house of Pharaoh heard. And Yosef said unto his brethren, I am Yosef. Does my father yet live? And his brethren could not answer him, for they were troubled at his presence. And Yosef said unto his brethren, come near to me, I pray you. And they came near, and said, I am Yosef your brother, whom you sold into Mitzrayim. Now therefore be not grieved, nor angry with yourselves, that you sold me hither. For Elohim did send me before you to preserve life. For these 2 years has the famine been in the land, and yet there are 5 years in the which there shall be neither earing nor harvest. And Elohim sent me before you to preserve you a posterity in the earth, and to save your lives by a great deliverance. So now it was not you that sent me hither, but Elohim. And he has made me a father unto Pharaoh, and master of all his house, and a ruler throughout the land of Mitzrayim. Haste ye, and go up to my father, and say unto him, thus says your son Yosef, Elohim has made me master of all Mitzrayim. Come down unto me, tarry not. Ye shall dwell in the land of Goshen, and ye shall be near unto me, you and your children and your children's children, and your flocks and your herds and all that you have. And there I will nourish you, for yet there are 5 years of famine, lest you and your household and all that you have come to poverty. And behold, your eyes see in the eyes of my brother Benjamin that it is my mouth that speaks unto you. And ye shall tell my father of all my glory in Mitzrayim, and of all that ye have seen, and ye shall haste and bring down my father hither. And he fell upon his brother Benjamin's neck and wept, and Benjamin wept upon his neck. Moreover, he kissed all his brethren and wept upon them, and after that his brethren talked with him. Let's take a look at the Targums 45, 14 and 15, about the weeping on each other's necks. Right? And he bowed himself upon his brother Benjamin's neck, and wept, because it would be that in the house of set apartness should be built in the portion of Benjamin, because we know Jerusalem was built on Benjamin's portion, and be twice destroyed. And Benjamin wept upon Joseph's neck, because he saw that the tabernacle of Shiloh would be in the portion of Joseph and be destroyed. And he kissed all his brethren and wept over them, because he saw that the sons of his people would be brought into bondage, and afterward his brethren discoursed with him. So just interesting. And now let's read Baruch 32, 2nd Baruch 32, that is, about the destruction of Jerusalem being prophesied. But as for you, if you prepare in your hearts so as to sow in them the fruits of the Torah, it shall protect you in the time in which El Elohim is to shake the whole creation. That's our job right now, is to keep Torah. in spirit and in truth. Because after a little time the building of Zion will be shaken in order that it may be built again. But that the building will not remain, but will again after a time be rooted out and will remain desolate until the time. Right, so it's twice destroyed, and afterwards it must be renewed in glory and perfected forevermore. This is New Jerusalem, and therefore we should not be distressed so much over the evil which has now come over that which is still to be. For there will be a greater trial than these two tribulations when El Elohim will renew his creation. So the time that we're living in and going to be living in is supposed to be the worst. So, all right, back to Genesis 45. We're going to finish up chapter 15, or 45, I'm sorry. And the fame thereof was heard in Pharaoh's house, saying, Joseph's brethren are come. And it pleased Pharaoh well, and his servants. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, Say unto your brethren, This do ye, lade your beasts, and go, get you into the land of Canaan. And take your father and your households, and come unto me, and I will give you the good of the land of Mitzrayim, and ye shall eat the fat of the land. Now you are commanded, This do ye, take your wagons out of the land of Mitzrayim for your little ones, and for your women, and bring your father, and come. Also regard not your stuff, for the good of all the land of Mitzrayim is yours. And the children of Yashrael did so, and Joseph gave them wagons according to the commandment of Pharaoh, and gave them provision for the way. To all of them he gave each man changes of raiment, but to Benjamin he gave 300 pieces of silver and 5 changes of raiment. And to his father he sent after this manner, 10 asses laden with the good things of Mitzrayim, and 10 she-asses laden with the grain and bread and meat for his father by the way. So he sent his brethren away, and they departed. And he said unto them, See that ye fall not out by the way. And they went up out of Mitzrayim, and came into the land of Canaan, unto El Jacob their father, and told him, saying, Joseph is yet alive, and he is governor over all the land of Mitzrayim. And Jacob's heart fainted, for he believed them not. And they told him all the words of Joseph, which he had said unto him. And when he saw the wagons which Joseph had sent unto carry unto him, the ruach of Jacob their father revived. And Yashrael said, It is enough. Joseph my son is yet alive. I will go and see him before I die. So now let's take a look at Yashar 54. We're going to go down to verse 91 through 55, verse 1. And we'll see something interesting about the story. And they came unto the borders of the land, and they said to each other, What shall we do in this matter before our father? For if we come suddenly to him and tell him of the matter, he will be greatly alarmed at our words and will not believe us. Right? They told him about Joseph being alive and being, the governor of Egypt. And they went along until they came nigh to their houses, and they found Serach, the daughter, remember this name, Serach, the daughter of Asher, going forth to meet them. And the damsel was very good and subtle, and knew how to play upon the harp. And they called unto her, and she came before them. And she kissed them. They took her, and gave unto her a harp, saying, Go now before our father, and sit before him, and strike upon the harp, and speak these words. And they commanded her to go to their house, and she took the harp, and hastened before them. And she came and sat near Jacob. And she played well, and sang, and uttered this in the sweetness of her words, Joseph my uncle is living, and he rules throughout the land of Egypt, and is not dead. And she continued to repeat and utter these words, and Jacob heard her words, and they were agreeable to him. And he listened whilst she repeated them twice and thrice, and joy entered the heart of Jacob at the sweetness of her words. And the spirit of Elohim was upon him, and he knew all her words to be true. And Jacob blessed Serach, remember her name, when she spoke these words before him, and he said unto her, My daughter, may death never prevail over you. Remember, Jacob is a prophet. So he prophesied over her that she would never die. For you have revived my spirit. Only speak yet before me as you have spoken, for you have gladdened me with all your words. And she continued to sing these words, and Jacob listened, and it pleased him, and he rejoiced, and the spirit of Elohim was upon him. Whilst he was yet speaking with her, behold, the sons came to him with horses and chariots and royal garments and servants running before them. And Jacob rose up to meet them, and saw his sons, and dressed in royal garments. And he saw all the treasures that Joseph had sent to them. And they said unto him, Be informed that our brother Joseph is living, and that it is he who rules throughout the land of Egypt, and it is he who spoke unto us as we told you. And Jacob heard all the words of his sons, and his heart palpitated at their words, for he could not believe them until he saw all that Joseph had given them, and what he sent with him, and all the signs which Joseph had spoken unto them. And they opened out before him, and showed him all that Joseph had sent, and they gave unto each that Joseph had sent to him. And he knew that they had spoken the truth, and he rejoiced exceedingly on account of his son. And Jacob said, It is enough for me that my son Jacob is living. I will go and see him before I die. And his sons told him all that had befallen them. And Jacob said, I will go down to Egypt to see my son and his offspring. And Jacob rose up and put on the garments which Joseph had sent him. And after he had washed and shaved his hair, it's interesting, he put upon his head the turban which Joseph had sent him. And all the people of Jacob's house and their wives put on the garments which Joseph had sent to them. And they greatly rejoiced at Joseph, that he was still living, and that he was ruling in Egypt. And all the inhabitants of Canaan heard of this thing, and they came and rejoiced with Jacob, that he was still living. And Jacob made a feast for them for 3 days, and all the kings of Canaan and nobles of the land ate and drank and rejoiced in the house of Jacob. Chapter 55, verse 1, And it came to pass after this that Jacob said, I will go and see my son in Egypt, and will then come back to the land of Canaan, of which Elohim had spoken unto Abraham, for I cannot leave the land of my birthplace. So this goes into chapter 46 as to why Jacob was concerned about going down to Egypt. Genesis 46, And Yashrael took his journey with all that he had, and came to Beersheba, and offered sacrifices unto the Elohim of his father Yitzchak. And Elohim spoke unto Yashrael in the visions of night, and said, Jacob, Jacob. And he said, Here am I. And he said, I am El, the Elohai of your father. Fear not to go down to Mitzrayim. So this is exactly why, right? I cannot leave the land of my birthplace. For I will make you there, for I will there make of you a great nation. For I will go down with you into Mitzrayim, and I will also surely bring you up again, and Yosef shall put his hands upon your eyes. And Jacob rose up from Beersheba, and the sons of Yashrael carried Jacob their father and their little ones and their women in the wagons which Pharaoh had sent to carry him. And they took their cattle and their goods which had gotten in the land of Canaan, and came into Mitzrayim, Jacob and all his seed with him, his sons and his sons' sons with him, his daughters and his sons' daughters, and all his seed brought he with him into Mitzrayim. And these are the names of the children of Yashrael which came into Mitzrayim: Jacob and his sons, Reuben, Jacob's firstborn, and the sons of Reuben, Chanok, and Palu, and Chetzron, and Carmi. And the sons of Shimon, Yemuel, and Yamin, and Ochad, and Yakin, and Sochar, and Shaul, the sons of a Canaanite woman. And the sons of Levi, Gershon, Kohath, and Merari. And the sons of Yahudah, and Onan, and Shelach, and Peretz, and Zerach. But and Onan died in the land of Canaan. And the sons of Peretz were Chetzron and Chamul. And the sons of Yisachar, Tola, and Pua, and Yob, and Shimron. And the sons of Zebulun, Sered, and Elon, and Yachleel. These be the sons of Leah, which she bore unto Jacob in Padan Aram, with his daughter Dinah. All the souls of his sons and his daughters were 33. And the sons of Gad, Zyphon, and Chagai, and Shunai, and Etzbon, and Eri, and Arodai, and Arelai. The sons of Asher, Yimna, and Yishba, and Yishbai, and Barach, and Serach, their sister. It's interesting. You don't think any of their brothers had daughters? Of course they did. But for some reason, Serach was mentioned in the lineage here. And the sons of Beriah, Hever, and Malkiel. So remember how she was the one that the brothers sent with the harp, and she played before Jacob, and it was like, hey, Yosef is alive, and he's governor of all Egypt, and Jacob was like, may you never see death. Thank you, right? The Targums actually confirms that story. And the children of Asher, Yimna, Yishba, Yishbai, Bera, and Serach, their sister, who was carried away while alive into the Garden of Eden, because she had announced to Jacob that Joseph still lived. There's your second witness. Genesis 46:18. These are the sons of Zilpah, whom Laban gave to Leah his daughter, and these she bore unto Jacob, even 16 souls. The sons of Rachel, Jacob's woman, Joseph and Benjamin. And unto Joseph in the land of Mitzrayim were born Manasseh and Ephraim, which Asenath, the daughter of Potipherah, priest of On, bore unto him. And the sons of Benjamin were Bela, and Becher, and Ashbel, and Gera, and Naaman, Ichai, and Rosh, Mupim, and Chupim, and Ard. These are the sons of Rachel, which were born unto Jacob. All the souls were 14. And the sons of Dan, Hushim. And the sons of Naphtali, Yachzeel, and Gunai, and Yetzer, and Shilem. These are the sons of Bilhah, which Laban gave unto Rachel his daughter, and she bore these unto Jacob. All the souls were 7. All the souls that came with Jacob into Mitzrayim, which came out of his loins, besides Jacob's sons' women, all the souls were 66. And the sons of Joseph, which were born unto him in Mitzrayim, were 2 souls. All the souls of the house of Jacob, which came into Mitzrayim, were 70. And he sent Yahudah before him unto El Yosef to direct his face unto Goshen, and they came into the land of Goshen. And Yosef made ready his chariot, and went up to meet Yasharel his father to Goshen, and to present himself unto him, and fell on his neck, and wept on his neck a good while. Let's take a look at the reception of Jacob. So let's take a look at Yashar 55, 2 through 15. Behold, the word of Yahweh came unto him, saying, Go down to Egypt with all your household, and remain there. Fear not to go down to Egypt, for I will there make you a great nation. And Jacob said within himself, I will go and see my son, whether the fear of his Elohim is yet in his heart amidst all the inhabitants of Egypt. And Yahweh said unto Jacob, Fear not about Joseph, for he still retains his integrity to serve me, as will seem good in your sight. And Jacob rejoiced exceedingly concerning his son. At that time Jacob commanded his sons and his household to go into Egypt according to the word of Yahweh unto him. And Jacob rose up with his sons and all his household, and he went out from the land of Canaan, from Beersheba, with joy and gladness of heart. And they went to the land of Egypt. And it came to pass, when they came near Egypt, Jacob sent Judah before him to Joseph, that he might show him a situation in Egypt. And Judah did according to the word of his father. And he hastened and ran and came to Joseph, and they assigned for them a place in the land of Goshen for all his household. And Judah returned and came along the road to his father. And listen to this reception. And Joseph harnessed the chariot, and he assembled all his mighty men and his servants and all the officers of Egypt in order to go and meet his father Jacob. And Joseph's mandate was proclaimed in Egypt, saying, All that do not go to meet Jacob shall die. And on the next day Joseph went forth with all Egypt, a great and mighty host, all dressed in garments of fine linen and purple, with instruments of silver and gold, and with their instruments of war with them. And they all went to meet Jacob with all sorts of musical instruments, with drums and timbrels, strewing myrrh and aloes along the road. And they all went after this fashion, and the earth shook at their shouting. And all the women of Egypt went upon the roofs of Egypt and upon the walls to meet Jacob. And upon the head of Joseph was Pharaoh's regal crown, for Pharaoh had sent it unto him to put it on at the time of his going forth to meet his father. And when Joseph came within 50 cubits of his father, he alighted from the chariot, and he walked towards his father. And when all the officers of Egypt and her nobles saw that Joseph had gone on foot towards his father, they also alighted and walked on foot towards Jacob. And when Jacob approached the camp of Joseph, Jacob observed the camp that was coming towards him with Joseph, and it gratified him. And Jacob was astonished at it. And Jacob said unto Judah, Who is that man whom I see in the camp of Egypt, dressed in kingly robes, with a very red garment upon him, and a royal crown upon his head, who has alighted from his chariot, and who is coming towards us? And Judah answered his father, saying, He is thy son Joseph the king. And Jacob rejoiced in seeing the glory of his son. And Joseph came nigh unto his father, and he bowed to his father, and all the men of the camp bowed to the ground with him before Jacob. And behold, Jacob ran and hastened to his son Joseph, and fell upon his neck and kissed him, and they wept. And Joseph embraced his father and kissed him, and they all wept. All the people of Egypt wept with them. What a reception, right? What a reception. And something is similar for his people. So let's talk. Remember, we talked about in the beginning here, thirsting after righteousness. If we thirst after righteousness and get filled by his truth now, through the teachings, the renewed teachings of Messiah Yahusha, and keeping the Torah in spirit and in truth, there will be a reception for his people, for his righteous people. I pray to be numbered among those people. I pray that you who are listening can be numbered among those people. Listen to this. Isaiah 55, Ho, everyone that thirsts, call me to the waters. Remember, Yahusha is, right, out of his belly flow living waters. And he that has no money, come, you buy and eat. Yea, come, buy wine and milk without money and without price. Why do you spend your money for that which is not bread? Right, remember, he is the bread of life. And your labor, which that satisfies not, hearken diligently unto me. Right, listen and obey, and eat ye that which is good, and let your soul delight itself in fatness. And incline your ear, and come unto me, hear, and your soul shall live. And I will make an everlasting covenant with you, even the sure mercies of David. Behold, I have given him for a witness to the people, a leader and a commander to the people. Behold, you shall call a nation that you know not, and nations that knew not you shall run unto you, because Yahweh your Elohim, and for the Holy One of Israel, right? So because the Father and his Son, the Holy One of Israel, for he has glorified you. Seek ye Yahweh while he may be found. and call upon him while he is near. Let the wicked forsake his way, and the unrighteous man his thoughts. And let him return unto Yahweh, and he will have mercy upon him, and to our Elohim, for he will abundantly pardon. For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, says Yahweh. For as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts. For as the rain comes down and the snow from the heaven, and returns not hither, but waters the earth, and makes it bring forth and bud, that it may give seed to the sower, and bread to the eater, so shall my word be that goes forth out of my mouth. It shall not return unto me void, but shall accomplish that which I please, and it shall prosper in the thing whereunto I sent it. Listen to this. For you shall go out with joy, and be led forth with peace. The mountains and the hills shall break forth before you into singing, and all the trees of the field shall clap their hands. And instead of the thorn shall come up the fir tree, and instead of the briar shall come up the myrtle tree, and it shall be to Yahweh for a name and for an everlasting sign that shall not be cut off. Enoch 51. And in those days, this is the last days, right, when the righteous shall be transformed, as in Enoch 50. In those days shall the earth also give back which has been entrusted to us. This is the resurrection. And Sheol also shall give back that which has received, and hell shall give back that which it owes. For in those days the elect one shall arise, Messiah shall arise, and he shall choose the righteous and holy from among them. For the day has drawn nigh that they should be saved. And the elect one shall in those days sit on my throne, and his mouth shall pour forth all the secrets of wisdom and counsel. For Yahweh Sabaoth has given them to him, and has glorified him. In those days shall the mountains leap like rams, and the hills also shall skip like lambs, satisfied with milk. And the faces of all the angels in heaven shall be lighted up with joy, and the earth shall rejoice, and the righteous shall dwell in it, and the elect shall walk thereon. So, brothers and sisters, all worth it. Let's take a look at the Targums. Actually, we already read what I wanted to read there. And let's see what else. Verse 21. Oh, this is interesting. The sons of Benjamin, he named them after Joseph. So Genesis 46:21 in the Targums. The sons of Benjamin 10, and their names according to the interpretation of Joseph his brother. Bela, who was swallowed up from him. Becher, who was the chosen of his mother. Eshbal, who went into captivity. Gera, who became a sojourner in a foreign land. Naaman, who was pleasant and honorable. Achi, who had a twin brother, the son of his mother. Rosh, who was chief in his father's house. Mupim, who was sold into Muf. Hupim, who because at the time he was separated from them, he was the son of 18 years old and was eligible for marriage. Chuppah, right? This is like, they get married under a chuppah. Anyways, interesting, right? All right, so Genesis 46:30, and Yashrael said unto Joseph, now let me die, since I have seen your face, because you are yet alive. And Joseph said unto his brethren and to his father's house, I will go up and show Pharaoh, and say unto him, my brethren and my father's house, which were in the land of Canaan, are come unto me. And the men are shepherds, for their trade has been to feed cattle, and they have brought their flocks and their herds and all that they have. And it shall come to pass, when Pharaoh shall call you, and shall say, what is your occupation? That ye shall say, your servant's trade has been about cattle from our youth even until now, both we and also our fathers, that you may dwell in the land of Goshen, for every shepherd is an abomination unto the Mitzrayim. Especially the shepherd of cattle, because they didn't eat cattle, they worshiped the cattle. That's why they had the golden calf. All right, Genesis 47. Then Joseph came unto Pharaoh and told and said, my father and my brethren and their flocks and their herds and all that they have are come out of the land of Canaan, and behold, they are in the land of Goshen. And he took some of his brethren, even 5 men, and presented them unto Pharaoh. And Pharaoh said unto his brethren, what is your occupation? And they said unto Pharaoh, your servants are shepherds, both we and also our fathers. And they said moreover unto Pharaoh, for to sojourn in the land are we come. For your servants have no pasture for their flocks, for the famine is sore in the land of Canaan. Now therefore we pray you, let your servants dwell in the land of Goshen. And Pharaoh spoke unto Joseph, saying, your father and your brethren are come unto you. The land of Mitzrayim is before you. In the best of the land make you your father and your brethren to dwell. In the land of Goshen let them dwell. And if you know any man of activity among them, then make them rulers over my cattle. And Joseph brought in Jacob his father, and set him before Pharaoh. And Jacob blessed Pharaoh. And Pharaoh said unto Jacob, how old are you? And Jacob said unto Pharaoh, the days of the years of my pilgrimage are 130 years. Few and evil have the days of the years of my life been, and have not attained unto the days of the years of the life of my fathers, and the days of their pilgrimage. And Jacob blessed Pharaoh, and went out from before Pharaoh. And Joseph placed his father and his brethren, and gave them a possession in the land of Mitzrayim, in the best of the land of Ramesses, as Pharaoh had commanded. And Joseph nourished his father and his brethren and all his father's household with bread according to their families. So it's interesting. There's a lot of parallels if you think about it. A lot of people understand that right now we're living in the land of Egypt again, specifically the United States. I believe the United States is end times Egypt. Now, I believe the whole world acts like Egypt, acts like Babylon, but specifically, I think America is Egypt. And it's kind of interesting parallels here that Joseph set beforehand. The land is fruitful. He brings his brothers, and that's where they come in and they basically build up Egypt and multiply, as we'll read, of course, in Exodus, shortly. And under slavery, and of course, in today's world, we have a different type of slavery, more mental, more debt-based, more than like whips and chains. But in that land, they multiply and become a huge nation, right? And look at how much the people have multiplied here. So let's look at a couple of parallels here. Let's look at 2 Esdras 13:39 through 50, and then chapter 15, 5 through 27. And as for you seeing him gather to himself, and this is Messiah, gathering to himself a multitude that was peaceable, these are the 10 tribes which were led away from their own land into captivity in the days of King Hoshea, whom Shalmaneser, the king of the Assyrians, led captive. He took them across the river, and they were taken into another land. But they formed this plan for themselves, that they would leave the multitude of the nations and go to a more distant region where mankind had never lived. Think about the famine that had gone across Europe, the famine of the word because of the Catholic Church and all their doings. So they were like, we need to leave this oppression and go to a new land. That there, at least, they might keep their statutes which had not been kept in their own land. And they went in by the narrow passages of the Euphrates River, for at that time the Most High performed signs for them, and stopped the channels of the rivers until they had passed over. Through that region there was a long way to go, a journey of 1.5 years, and that country is called Arzareth. Then they dwelt there until the last times, and now, when they are about to come again, the Most High will stop the channels of the river again, that they may be able to pass over. Therefore you saw the multitude gathered together in peace, but those who are left of your people, who are found within my holy borders, shall be saved. Therefore, when he destroys the multitude of the nations that are gathered together, he will defend the people who remain, and then he will show them very many wonders. Now, 2 Esdras 15, 5 through 27. So again, you have some parallels. There was a famine of bread in the land of Canaan, so they had to go to Egypt to go there and multiply and to be fed. And so there's a famine of the bread of the word in Europe and a lot of countries, and people came to this country for that kind of freedom. And, well, unfortunately, the freedom is turned into slavery, and here we've multiplied and become a great nation. Behold, Yahweh, says Yahweh, I bring evils upon the world, the sword and famine and death and destruction, for iniquity has spread throughout every land, and their harmful deeds have reached their limit. Therefore, says Yahweh, I will be silent no longer concerning their ungodly deeds which they impiously commit, neither will I tolerate their wicked practices. Behold, innocent and righteous blood cries out unto me, and the souls of the righteous cry out continually. I will surely avenge them, says Yahweh, and I will receive to myself all the innocent blood from among them. Behold, my people is led like a flock to the slaughter. I will not allow them to live any longer in the land of Egypt, but I will bring them out with a mighty hand and with an uplifted arm, and will smite Egypt with plagues as before. So it's going to happen again, and will destroy all its land. But I believe that's this land, America. Let Egypt mourn and its foundations for the plague of chastisement and punishment that Yahweh will bring upon it. Let the farmers that till the ground mourn, because their seed shall fail, and their trees shall be ruined by blight and hail and by a terrible tempest. Alas for the world and for those who live in it. For the sword and misery shall draw near them, and nation shall rise up to fight against nation with swords in their hands. For there shall be unrest among the men, growing strong and against one another. They shall in their might have no respect for their king, or for the chief of their leaders. For a man will desire to go into a city, and shall not be able. For because of their pride the cities shall be in confusion, the houses shall be destroyed, and people shall be afraid. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbors, but shall make an assault upon their houses with the sword, and plunder their goods, because of hunger and for bread, and because of great tribulation. Behold, says Elohim, I called together all the kings of the earth to fear me, from the rising sun and from the south, and from the east and from Lebanon, to turn and repay what they have given them. Just as they have done to my elect until this day, so will I do, and I will repay into their bosom, says Yahweh Elohim. My right hand will not spare the sinners, and my sword will not cease from those who shed innocent blood on the earth. And a fire will go forth from his wrath, and will consume the foundations of the earth, and the sinners like straw that is kindled. Now here we go. Woe to those who sin and do not observe my commandments, says Yahweh. I will not spare them. Depart, you faithless children. Do not pollute my sanctuary. This is just like when Messiah says, depart from me, you workers of iniquity. Many will come to me in that day and say, Lord, Lord. And he's like, for Yahweh knows all who transgress against him. Therefore he will hand them over to death and slaughter. For now calamities have come upon the whole earth, and you shall remain in them. For Elohim will not deliver you, because you have sinned against him. This is one of the benefits, brothers and sisters, of having faith and obedience in these last days. I do believe we will be protected from that. All right, let's finish up Genesis, and we'll finish up the Torah portion. And there was no bread in all the land, for the famine was very sore, so that the land of Mitzrayim and all the land of Canaan fainted by reason of the famine. And Joseph gathered up all the money that was found in the land of Mitzrayim and in the land of Canaan for the grain which they bought. And Joseph brought the money into Pharaoh's house. And when the money failed in the land of Mitzrayim, look at this. You don't think the money is going to fail in the land of Egypt here one day soon, America? In the land of Canaan, all the Mitzrayim came unto El Yosef and said, give us bread, for why should we die in your presence? For the money fails. What's happened before is going to happen again. They're going to control people through money and through hunger. And Yosef said, give your cattle, and I will give you for your cattle if money fail. And they brought their cattle unto El Yosef, and Yosef gave them bread in exchange for horses, and for the flocks, and for the cattle of the herds, and for the asses. And he fed them with bread and for all their cattle for that year. And when all that year was ended, they came unto him the second year, and said unto him, we will not hide it from my master, how that our money is spent. My master also has our herds of cattle. There is not aught left in the sight of our master, left our bodies and our lands. Wherefore shall we die before your eyes, both we and our land? Buy us and our land for our bread, and we and our land will be servants unto Pharaoh, and give us seed that we may live and not die, that the land be not desolate. And Joseph bought all the land of Mitzrayim for Pharaoh, for the Mitzrayim sold every man his field, because the famine prevailed over them, so the land became Pharaoh's. And as for the people, he removed them to cities, from one end of the borders of Mitzrayim even to the other end thereof. Only the land of the priests bought he not, for the priests had a portion assigned them of Pharaoh, and did eat of their portion which Pharaoh gave them, wherefore they sold not their lands. Then Joseph said unto the people, behold, I have bought you this day and your land for Pharaoh. Lo, here is seed for you, that you shall sow the land. And it shall come to pass in the increase that you shall give the fifth part, 20% unto Pharaoh, and 4 parts shall be your own, for the seed of the field, and for your food, and for them of your households, and for food of your little ones. And they said, you have saved our lives. Let us find grace in the sight of my master, and we will be Pharaoh's servants. And Joseph made it a law over the land of Mitzrayim to this day, that Pharaoh should have a fifth part, except the land of the priests only, which actually happens here in America, right? The churches aren't taxed, which became not Pharaoh's. And Yashrael dwelt in the land of Mitzrayim, in the country of Goshen, and they had possessions therein, and grew and multiplied exceedingly. And that is the end of our Torah portion today. So what's happened before will happen again, brothers and sisters. Let us remain humble, meek, in faith in Messiah Yahusha, and the keeping of Yahweh's Torah through faith and obedience, through spirit and in truth. Let's pray. Father, Yahweh, we come before you, and we just bless you and thank you for this day. Thank you for allowing us to gather together and study your word and to grow together. Father, we pray you continue to give us cultivation in our heart, that we may bring forth the fruits of obedience in spirit and truth, Father, not in contention, not in vanity, not in anything other, but to serve you, Father, and to do what's right in your sight. And we do pray to be found worthy in these last days to escape all these things that are coming to pass and to stand before the Son of Man. Father, may we be found worthy in your sight. Forgive us of our trespasses as we forgive those that trespass against us. Father, we love you, and we say Shabbat Shalom to you, and thank you for all you do. In Yahushua's mighty name, Amen and Hallelujah. We're going to end with a couple songs, brothers and sisters, and I just want to continue to remind you that we will have signups soon for our Passover, which will be April 15th through the 24th. It'll be a camp out here in Lebanon, Missouri. Mark your calendars, and we'll have registration opening sometime soon. So Shabbat Shalom, brothers and sisters. We'll let's see, what are we going to do? What song are we going to do? Let's do okay, we'll do the priestly blessing, and then we'll do Song of Moshe. Yevarechecha Yahuwah ve'yishmerecha Ya'er Yahuwah lecha shalom, yisayachu panav lecha, v'yaseh lecha shalom, v'yaseh lecha shalom, v'yaseh lecha shalom.
Yahuwah bless you and keep you. Yahuwah make his face shine upon you and be gracious unto you. Yahuwah lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Yahuwah make his face shine upon you and be gracious unto you. Yahuwah lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace.
I sing to Yahweh, for he is highly exalted. The horse and its rider he has thrown into the sea. Yah is my strength and song, and he has become my deliverance. He is my El, and I praise him, Elohim of my father, and I exalt him. Yahweh is a man of battle, Yahweh is his name. He has cast Pharaoh's chariots and his army into the sea, and his chosen officers are drowned in the sea of reeds. The depths covered them, they went down to the bottom like a stone. Your right hand, O Yahuwah, has become great in power. Your right hand, O Yahuwah, has crushed the enemy. And in the greatness of your excellence, you pulled down those who rose up against you. You sent forth your wrath, it consumes them like stubble. And with the wind of your nostrils, the waters were heaped up. The floods stood like a wall, the depths became stiff in the heart of the sea. The enemy said, I pursue, I overtake, I divide the spoil, my being is satisfied on them. I draw out my sword, my hand destroys them. You blew with your wind, the sea covered them, they sank like lead in the mighty waters. Who is like you, O Yahuwah, among the mighty waters? great in Kodesh, awesome in praises, working wonders. You stretched out your right hand, the earth swallowed them. In your kindness, you led the people whom you have redeemed. In your strength, you guided them to your Kodesh dwelling. Peoples heard, they trembled. Anguish gripped the inhabitants of Pelasheth. Then the chiefs of Edom were troubled, the mighty men of Moab. Trembling grips them, all the inhabitants of Canaan melted. Fear and dread fell on them by the greatness of your arm. They are as silent as a stone. Until your people pass over, O Yahuwah. Until the people whom you have bought pass over. You bring them in and plant them in the mountain of your inheritance, in the place, O Yahuwah, which you have made for your own dwelling, the Mikdash, O Yahuwah, which your hands have prepared. Yahweh reigns forever and ever.